viewers, welcome back to the channel. Yes, I'm coming out. You may not think what it is. It's not the AFL tipping video. It comes out normally at this time frame. He says the AFLW tipping video. I'm playing on scheduling because it gets underway before the men's games get underway that week. So I'll be releasing this per accordance with what the schedule looks like. Let's have a look at what happened last week with W tipping. You can just bear with me here. I'm just putting it up on my laptop so I don't forget to put in my tips as I go. So look what happened on Sunday. I got my A tip right. So first tip of the week right. Carlton beats Kilda by 26 points. I had a differential of 21, and I'm hoping that I do quite well in this. So I'll be putting a link into the description, and because starting next week, because of that, the round one's already underway, so I can't create a comp starting that week. So I'll be putting the comp link into the comments and into the description. Let's get on with it and let's tip. So let's have a look at how my fantasy team went as well for W. There's only 2 of my team played, so remember the season is underway, so lockout is, so it means you can't trade out your Carlton or secure players this week. Let's wait. It takes an age to load. Anyway, there we go. So current score is 63. Paige Trudgeon did well. Rest of the teams will come out, and the Carlton player. Yeah, I didn't have any Carlton players, so let's have a look at. I'm gonna have a look at the match centers, see who did well out of there. So Abby Mackay absolutely pigged out on 119 with an 80% total ground. So Paige Trudgeon was up there. So I'm very happy. So if I was you, I'd probably just hold fire on your players. Here's trading him out and doing that sort of stuff, because the round's already underway, so you can keep your hair on. So let's go into Thursday Night Football. This is the game that's exclusive. It's been starting kicking these off for the second half of the season. And it's Hawthorn taking on the Melbourne Demons at Icon Park in Carlton, due to lights and haven't been installed yet at Dingley. Well, this game's going to be an absolute corker. Melbourne have very good pre-season, and I expect them to do good things. However, the last season they've had a big lot. They've lost big players like Tilly Lucas-Rod, who has moved, but Hawks got the job business done over Sydney. But Melbourne, both teams are coming off, so they're pretty much in form. But Hawks, I'm going to tip the Hawks here, mainly due to they've been good side, consistent since they came into the W, and team the Hawks here by 3 points. And the big call is that Lucy Wales records 30 plus hits. Then we head to Marvel Stadium as a part of a double header, which I'll go through in the next video. So it's North Melbourne taking on Geelong. Well, the Cats got their season off on the right way in the Pracky season. They losing by only 3 points to Brisbane shows that they're where they're at, and they look good under McStinia. However, they have the toughest of all tasks to start with. They've got North Melbourne to start with, and it's going to be should be a cracker of a game. Last year, however, it was only 30 points, and this was the only game in North Melbourne's streak in 2024 that ended in a draw, and they did not lose. They did not win it technically. So, but I'm going to go with the consistency here. I'm going to tip North Melbourne here by 4 points. It should be a close affair. And a big call is Blackland Borg continues her ripping form that she showed in the Aussie Ireland game. And game and kicks free. Then we head to Icon Park. This game has been shifted mainly due to there's been an AFL match scheduled at the same slot. It's Richmond taking on Collingwood. Well, the Pies actually look a much better outfit than they did last year. Richmond got the job done by 13 points last Saturday, so it's meant Richmond coming off a good win over the Dockers in the official Pracky matches, whilst the Pies, they beat West Coast. So both teams are actually coming with some really good form here. Richmond, they've got a good outfit led by Monique Conti. The Pies, well, they've got another. Ash Centra has had another pre-season under her belt, and she is probably expected to do great things this year. I'm hoping that she's going to play a very good, important role for this Pie side going forward. But I'm going to tip Collingwood. Mainly because Pies have been good. They have more convincing win than Richmond, and a big call is that Richmond will go quarter. Both sides that Richmond will be leading at 3/4 time. Then we head to the Channel 7 game on Saturday night. You get Saturday night football with this fixture. It's Gold Coast Suns taking on Western Bulldogs. Let's simply put, the Suns had quite an ordinary season last year, but they nearly beat the Blues, who won on Sunday, and put them to the sword. This is at People First Stadium, by the way, so if you're on the Gold Coast, make sure you head down. Your men's team actually got off to have a very good start. And it's part of a big Saturday sport in Queensland. I'll go through that in my AFL tipping. So the Suns, well, they've played some good footy, and I'm expecting them to do good things this season and get out of the bottom four. But don't get out of the last spot. Western Bulldogs, however, they have Tammy Hyatt has actually put in a very good plan. They absolutely smoked the living shit out of GWS in the practice matches, and I'm very sure that the Dogs can get themselves out of this hole. I'm going to tip Dogs here by 10 points, and my big call is that Havana Harris racks up 100 plus fantasy points. Then we head to a big Sunday, 4 games on the Sunday for the W. Remember, no Friday night football this week. It's because there's an AFL men's game in that slot. It's Essendon taking on Brisbane at 10:35 at Windy Hill. Essendon, well, they had a pretty ordinary season, and things did not get better for them. They got absolutely smoked by the Kangaroos, which is to be expected. But really, they picked the worst time getting absolutely smoked by the Roos to start the season. But Brisbane, well, they only just beat the Cats, but they actually look a very good side. They've retained some of that squad that contended for last year, but I'm worried that the smashing curse from the AFL continues on into here. I'm tipping Brisbane here by 11 points, and my big call is that it'll be a close affair, and it'll be a less than 5-point separation at half time. Then it's a direct clash, so we have 2 games at once. So we've got Adelaide taking on Sydney Swans at Thomas Farms Oval in Unley. Well, this is going to be an absolute good game. The Crows, they've got themselves into finals, but they've got that last season, and unfortunately they did not make the final. The Sydney Swans, well, they nearly made it, and Scott Gowan's paid the price with his job. So they are going to be an exciting outfit under Colin Riordan. However, what's happened in the practice matches, they did not play well to their standards. Having said that, they were probably ordered to rest players years in the practice matches. Adelaide, I think the Crows are going to be too good here. I seriously think they are. I'm going to tip the Crows here by 12 points. Big call is that Emily Marinoff gets 30 plus disposals. Then we head to out west. This game was meant to be a 2:30 slot, but got pushed 2 hours earlier due to there's an AFL game, featuring the Budge, and there's a double header. It's the Fremantle Dockers taking on Port Adelaide at Coburn Arc Oval, where it's Fremantle's first ever game at Coburn. Well, Fremantle and Port have a history of playing in the absolute belchers of games. And average winning margin between these two sides has been between the 20 to 50 point range, but this is the first time they've met out west, which makes it interesting. Fremantle got some good key players, particularly Johnson from Melbourne, and also brought in Zanka, who was like a house train for most of the season for the Demons. If she continues her form, I think Fremantle can get into the finals. Port, they've got Matilda Schultz, who's been out. She did a very good job in the Australia-Ireland game. I'm speaking in an Irish accent for some reason. On last Saturday. So, if she continues her ripping form, I think Port will be in with a chance. However, Fremantle is my team. I hope they do well this season. I'm going to tip the Dockers here by 9 points. And the big call is Hayley Miller kicks 2. I follow her on LinkedIn, by the way. Then we head to the final game of the round. This is going to be a good game. It's GOS Giants versus the West Coast Eagles at NG Stadium straight after the men's fixture. Well, the Eagles look very good this season. Unfortunately, they did not under Daisy Pearce. They've had a really good season. They play very good football under her, and they made finals for the first time. However, they might get that finals hangover this year, like what Gold Coast had, and they only just lost to Collingwood, which can hit up the ladder. Just what's not to say then what happened. Past 2 outings, the Eels have dominated the Giants, and this is the first time the Eagles are very glad this game's not at. Very glad they're not at the end playing Henson House, because they got absolutely smashed there. The Eagles, well, I'm going to tip the Eagles here. I'm not entirely convinced, but the Giants got smashed in pre-season. I'm tipping the Eagles here by 10 points, and my big call is that Lucia Painter kicks 1. One that has a 30+ disposals. So that's my round 1 tips. Make sure you join the AFLW tipping comp. I'll be sharing a link with that. I'll share a link with that shortly on the comments, and I'll be making sure and make sure you put in your punishments down below. I rather not to be screwed over, but I'll be posting this on my channel, on the description, and on this. So it's only 3 days away from the next game. I film this on Monday. So get down to the W in Western Australia and into Victoria. And make sure, go Dockers!